Project Blue, a remix of F-Zero by Overshield. Folks, welcome to Insert Credits, our monthly video game podcast.
We're back together.
/ stream, whatever.
No
yes.
snow this time.
Oh my god, the snow last time was awful. Like, 2 storms in the span of like 3 days. It was not cool.
It happened.
It definitely was a thing that happened.
This time we had 3 inches of slush 2 days ago, and then it all mostly melted.
Yeah, and that's good. I am happy for that. That means we are getting out of this hellscape of winter. Hopefully.
It's only February. Come on.
I know though, but one can be hopeful and optimistic and you know.
See, like I've been the worried one this whole time. Like, oh God, we've only gotten 2 feet of snow this year so far. Oh God, why is it 55 in January?
Yeah, but still, like that 2 feet we got was within like 4 days.
Yeah,
it's like,
also,
oh crap.
Like 25% of the snowfall of last year at this time so far. It's just like,
that's true. But we're also now at the point of the year where usually after that it gets a little bit of time to melt a bit, and it's not just hanging around for 3 months on end.
I just want to see winter in 10 years. Okay. I'm just a little worried. Okay. You know.
Yeah, I know. I get it. I was very happy that we didn't get significant snowfall till middle of January. That was great.
I mean, it was.
But then it caught up, and I'm like, oh, this isn't so great.
Well, you know what? It waited until after all the travel and all that.
It really did. So that's good. Well, welcome everybody. I'm MrBond.
And I'm Tormod.
This is Insert Credits. This is a podcast / stream. We talk about video games. We talk about some news first, then we listen to some tunes, and then we talk about what we've been playing since last time, and then more tunes. And then at the end, since this is not like a 2024 look ahead like it was last time, we do some ad hoc design. Completely off the cuff. We don't have anything prepared. We use this neat little tool called letsmakeagame.net. It feeds us a bunch of restrictions, and then we make a game off of that.
That's true.
And most of the time, they're pretty good. And some of the time, it's porn. But yeah, hey, you know, nobody worries about that one.
You win some, you win some.
You do. Sometimes you do win some, in fact. But all right, housekeeping. Next few shows here, since we are in February, our next shows will be March, April, May, etc., etc. Totally not covering for forgetting to bring up the calendar again.
I was going to say, that's a month's work, yeah.
Yep. So round then 120, my goodness, round 20, 120. March looks like 15th is what we have down. That seems still good. April for 121 looks like the 12th.
No calendar for it, yep.
Oh, right, sorry. That's on me for not doing that,
good.
I guess. Which means then May for 122.
You want to go with the 17th?
17th seems fine. Yeah, why not? 122. Excellent.
Cool.
That covers our obligated 3 into the future. And that's enough of that. But I guess there's one more housekeeping bit. I don't remember if I mentioned this last time or not, so I'm going to mention it again just to cover my bases. We've got that new Insert Credits site out there. With all caught up from all previous shows for Insert Credits at the very least, with the show notes and the recordings and the little multimedia things that we put up on YouTube. So that's all out there and available, and I'm no longer a year and a half behind on doing all of that.
It's fine.
It was kind of silly for me to wait that long, but you know, it's all good. Good link in the chat there. I think that concludes housekeeping, so let's talk about some news around the world. Yeah, we gotta do it.
I'm just having a preview of yours because I didn't even look at yours before I wrote mine.
Don't worry. We didn't overlap too much, did we? We did not.
Just a tiny smidge.
Oh yeah, okay, I can see that. Yeah. But you know, it's not bad considering.
Very cool.
So we've talked at length about Epic versus Apple and the whole court cases shaking out and whatever.
How many years?
Probably at least 2. It's got to be pushing multiple years of that being a topic.
We talked about it like at least a little bit every time.
We catch a little bit more news. Like if it goes months. Sometimes it went months without hearing something new, and then we hear something new every month after that. But it turns out, I mean, that was still going. They were still appealing up to the Supreme Court. But it turns out that the U.S. Supreme Court has declined to hear the appeal on that. So the injunction stands, at least the previous appeals court ruling stands. So Apple's got to change some of their store policies to allow external payments. But that's pretty much the only thing that really stood there. They had everything else. Well, maybe not everything else, but most significant things overturned at the appeals level. So maybe now we're done with it, since you can't go any higher than the Supreme Court. So maybe we've got a pin in that. It's dead, and we don't have to worry about it anymore. One can hope.
You know what? I'm gonna be that guy. You want to know what Activision Blizzard news is gonna make me very happy to hear?
Oh, if they have to undo the merger, that'd be great.
I mean, that'd be hilarious. I was thinking of like Bobby Kotick choking on a sandwich or something. That's all.
That would be. I hope that he steps in dog shit every day for the rest of his life. Like that's my hope. He just wakes up, he goes outside,
and that he doesn't turn to like it.
Yes, that's probably a good distinction to make. Yes, and that he does not enjoy it.
Yes.
Yeah, that would just be great. That would be some karma. That would be some very good karma. Okay, so aside from that, we've got some other kind of, I don't know. It's interesting legal news in so much as, hey, it's not Nintendo doing it this time, but it's also legal news in terms of projects no longer being worked on. But a couple of these I can kind of understand. But Valve has been on a tear recently, bringing down the banhammer on some of these fan-made projects. The first two are kind of legit, and then the third one kind of pre-canceled itself out of sympathy pains, I guess, or just out of abundance of caution. But the first one on the list here, Team Fortress Source 2, fan project conversion of Team Fortress, into the Source 2 engine. Valve pretty quickly put the kibosh on that and said, hey, you're directly using these assets from our other games. Stop that. Don't do it. And, naturally, they really don't have any recourse against it, so there goes that one. Mm-hmm. Somewhat related then, Portal 64, another fan project to bring Portal to Nintendo 64. This one was also brought down by Valve, who cited kind of a very interesting thing here. They didn't cite the use of assets or anything like that, which I think is good. But they brought up kind of like an oblique usage to LibUltra, the N64 dev kit, which really wasn't out there for the public. So they probably don't want to bring Nintendo in on this, who Nintendo is very infamously known for being extra litigious. So that's an understandable aspect from Valve there, taking their move. And then the one that kind of canceled themselves after hearing about the previous two, Team Fortress 2 VR. They very specifically cited the previous two cases being like, yeah, that's probably not a good sign. We're not going to do this anymore. And I think it always sucks seeing fan projects go that way, because I definitely empathize with them being like, hey, they're into this stuff. They want to, support the franchise, make cool shit. You can't do that. You really can't. A lot of people just kind of take the path of, oh, we just won't ask. Let's just do this and not ask permission or anything. And it's not surprising when that shit comes back to bite you. There's an interesting citation, and I think at least two of the three of these cases, like, people are pointing to, well, what about Black Mesa? They're kind of a fan project, and they're still going. Yeah, they worked with Valve to do that. They got the licenses to do that sort of thing, and it's a really well-polished project, too. I recommend it. So the whole idea of like, yeah, let's just do whatever the fuck we want, and we can be angry at the corpo entities for shutting us down. It's like, no, you didn't really go about that a good way. You can't really be surprised by any of this, even if it does feel shitty. But that's how that goes. Some good news, I suppose, until it gets taken down. We'll see if it does. F-Zero had a series of tracks and kind of an entirely new game put out via the Satellaview, their broadcast system, F-Zero BS, that was lost. Like, for the longest time, nobody had the reproduction of it. Nobody had the storage devices with the entire thing on it. But recently, now they've kind of put together the entire thing now, with greater than 99.9% accuracy, supposedly, from a combination of scrounging up some old Satellaview memory cards with that data still on it, and using machine learning, image recognition and stuff off of old VHS tapes of the recordings of this F-Zero BS stuff. That's wild. That's wild. So they've collated all this stuff together into a ROM hack of sorts, I suppose, or a data package that you can overlay on top of a legitimate ROM to play these old F-Zero BS tracks now, which is super cool. Like it always amazes me the ingenuity of people to do that stuff. Most of it was from the old memory cards, and some of it was from machine learning, and then there was some bit of like hand pixel pushing to get it to look like what F-Zero BS was, and apparently it's 99.9% accurate or whatever the figure they were citing. So that's interesting. I'm looking forward to trying that out at some point. So good news on that. Here's a bit of some troll news here, which I find very good. So Diablo 2 has a certain set of items that are pretty rare to drop. There is one in particular that is a 1 in 3 million chance to drop off of a certain high level enemy. And this was captured on a live stream recently by a fairly prominent Diablo 2 streamer. Got the drop, and then immediately sold it in game for some trivial amount of in-game gold or money or currency or whatever, while people were watching, which is super fun. Like obviously this person knew what they were doing. They knew what they had. It was just a very funny troll moment, being like, "Oh shit, here's this ultra rare drop. Oh, whatever. Let's get rid of it."
This happened during a speed run.
Yep.
So,
oh man, it was great. Just so great. And I can just imagine people just absolutely going bonkers for this person doing it. And you know what? That makes me smile. That's a good troll. That is an excellent troll. Not malicious or anything, but people just get tweaked about it. It's funny as hell.
Absolutely.
Oh, so you mentioned Activision Blizzard before. Here's some possibly good news on that front, in fact. The FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, has indicated some opening strains that they are none too happy with Microsoft's layoffs of Activision Blizzard staff following this huge mega merger. So they're starting an investigation into this to see if that might have violated some conditions of the merger. So more as that develops. That'll be the new thing, I think, for a few months.
Especially given some layoffs that were announced.
Yeah.
But please go on.
Yeah. One more from me. This is I perceive this as somewhat negative because I'm not too keen on the continuous agglomeration of these media giants doing whatever shit. But Disney has announced, or not announced really, has invested 15 billion with a B, in Epic Games to create some sort of always-on, persistent gaming and multimedia universe, whatever the fuck that means. So that's a lot of cash to throw into whatever. I don't know. It's just I can't conceive of that amount of money, and it's just, man.
I'm just thinking like, I would pay for a lot of shit.
It really would. It absolutely would. And man, this is what happens when we allow mergers and acquisitions and just throwing cash around with impunity, and we end up with Disney owning a whole bunch of shit, and now this happens. Just like, well, now what can we do about it? And it's
okay, so you said mergers and acquisitions. I heard murders and acquisitions.
Oh, well,
and I was like, that's actually kind of been the trend.
Yeah,
you buy someone, you kill them.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes. Like, you eliminate the redundancies or whatever the fuck they use to euphemize it, right? Yeah, so mixed bag on my side. What do you got for some news here, since we didn't overlap a whole bunch?
Yeah. I'm just imagining this always-on Disney thing basically turning into Mickey Mouse's Sword Art Online, so, We're going to leave that there. So, firstly, Microsoft Game Pass continues to drive the platform. People had been a little worried because Microsoft announced this event like, the future of Xbox earlier this week, and people are like, I'm selling my console because whatever.
Yeah,
and
of course, people will.
And then they regret it after the fact because why not use the brain? Anyway, Game Pass, now up to 34 million subscribers, continues to basically drive that ecosystem as one expects. Really no shocker there, given that it's a pretty low amount of money to play a bunch of games, including new stuff. So that's the thing. Xbox has always been, well, I wouldn't say always. So I think PlayStation started with the whole remote play thing, but Xbox, now you can use touch controls and remote play. It works. It's supported. That's pretty cool. I don't know all what that entails, but
touch controls, like in the games, touch controls for the games. Like I'm trying to.
Yeah, I'm trying to think here.
About how that works.
So, yeah. So, yep, that's a new support article that was just posted. So, use Xbox touch controls for cloud gaming or remote play.
Mm-hmm.
So, touch controls. Oh, I see. That's kind of neat. So, if your game supports multi-touch or anything like that, depending on the device, it now actually transmits that data instead of having to use like strict keyboard, mouse, or gamepad or whatnot. So, that's pretty cool. Yeah, the whole layoff thing, Activision Blizzard, because I'm just going to keep talking about Microsoft's garbage now.
It is their garbage, yeah.
Yeah, they're laying off 162 Bay Area workers, and that's just part of this whole investigation. Like, you're doing what?
Yeah.
Repeat that?
Mm-hmm. Excuse me? Sorry?
Yeah, so, unfortunately, that's an order of magnitude less than Embracer. So, they're laying off 1,400.
Again?
And with the reason of, quote, it's looking out for shareholders.
Wow,
unquote.
Okay. Well, they're saying the quiet part, like screaming it into a megaphone. Great.
Yeah, and their
job.
CEO, Lars Wingefors, question mark, I don't know how to pronounce his name, his sage advice that the layoffs are, quote, something that everyone needs to get through, unquote.
Except for this jag-off, apparently.
Yeah, and he just looks like a CEO.
Of course.
In the photo that they chose for that quote. So, oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, the sweet embrace of death. That's all I can, whenever I hear Embracer Group mentioned, that's all I can think of. It's just like, oh, God. All right.
Yeah. I'm trying. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes, Kenny. Yes. Almost the Mickey laugh again. Very good. Ugh, I hate it.
I know. It's the worst.
So, all right. Let's go over to Nintendo for a little bit. Super Mario Brothers Wonder. It's been huge. It's seen as a collaborative gameplay experience because multiplayer is so much more unique than the prior new Super Mario Brothers that's been coming out forever now. And that's driven it to be the fastest selling Mario game to date.
Like ever?
Yes.
In the history? Wow.
They sold 10 million copies in under 3 months. They're up to like 13 million now.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And speaking of millions of things, the Switch, 139 million consoles, and continues to grow.
Right.
It's not like slowing down any. So this is, of course, driving rumors now that, well, Nintendo was starting to flirt with publishers with their new hardware, but now it doesn't really see the need for it to go so quickly. So why not push that out some?
Naturally.
And allegedly, we're not going to hear anything until next year now instead of the end of this. So we will see. Everything with the Switch 2 has been 100% rumors so far. So, like, you know what? I don't care.
And we're on like the third or fourth batch of those rumors too. So, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, okay. Yes. However, 1,400, that's a fuck ton of people.
That's a lot of people.
Like, I don't even care how many people are in the company total. That's just like individuals, that 1,400 individuals that are no longer going to have a job in the games industry until they find something else, which has been increasingly difficult. I have seen so many game dev friends, or at least acquaintances on social media being like, hey, so like, I have 27 years of experience and I no longer have a job and I've been looking for 14 months and now I've got major depression and etc. So like, holy shit. Like, everyone's like, we're making fuck tons of money, and the industry is imploding. So, I'm Curious isn't quite the right word. I'm interested isn't the right word either. I don't know. I want to see where this goes. I want to see if this turns into another early 80s where everyone got a little too greedy and then everything fell off. So, I don't know. I don't want that to be a thing. I think games are a fantastic creative medium, a great storytelling mode, and there's a lot of really talented and skilled people who are working on these things. And money happened, and money is the reason why all of these rugs are getting pulled out from under people, and I am so pissed. There are so many genuinely good and interesting things that are happening now that aren't just cookie cutter, and they're struggling. And it bothers me a lot. Ramble, ramble, ramble. I say the same thing every time. So, yes, the games and the tech industry both are disasters. I am so fortunate to have the job that I have right now doing what I do because out of curiosity, I've just been looking recently like, hey, I want to see how, like what I make compares to the listings that I find online. There are no listings online. So,
well, okay. Settles that.
Yeah. So, which is, Kenny, this is actually kind of strange because the particular region that we are in the Madison, Wisconsin region, like, it's never really had a shortage of tech jobs. I immediately found a job when I was looking last year, and apparently it's really kind of dried up. So I'm glad that things are good for me, and I don't know too many local friends who are suffering and not able to find anything. Yeah. But the fact that it's really starting to dry up on our side of things where we had been so plentiful is a little scary.
Yeah, it's starting to cycle through, I think, for various regions and sectors.
Yeah. So we will see how that all plays out. Of course, these things are cyclical, and, in a couple of years, when nobody has jobs, everything will crash in the housing market, and the economy will go into the shitter, and everything comes around again. So, yeah, these things, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, rambling. Pal World. Speaking of, like, what the fuck? Microsoft is like, yeah, this is doing great. Nintendo's like, you what, mate? So, speaking of projects, okay, this isn't exactly the same, but Nexus mods, they've hosted mods for games since as early as I can think, in like the mid 2000s, and people started posting mods for Pal World with Pokemon, and Nexus mods is like, we're not hosting this. Not gonna take that chance. Nintendo, please do not.
Which, hell, like, that's the right choice.
Yeah. So Nintendo's already been going after mod creators for making Pokemon in the game, and of course, fine. I'm not hearing them being too heavy-handed. Like, could you not? And then people not. It's not going too much farther than that, so I've heard. But of course now some of those folks are like, well, now we're just going to parodize it and troll them and
gonna push that line. They're gonna push that line always.
I am
what people do.
Very curious where that ends up. By and large, at least from the folks that I've chatted with who play the game, they really like it. Not a fan of it basically being a bunch of generative AI stuff.
Yeah.
Which is why I will never do that, because generative AI is a plague. And yeah, I don't feel like I need to go into that again.
No you
but Pal World is a thing. It continues to be a very popular thing. And yeah.
People seem to enjoy it, and that's good. I'm glad they do.
So there's something that I didn't throw in here, but it is related. So Rockstar, they have ended support for Windows 7 and 8 inside of their launcher and any games that the launcher launches. So that doesn't terribly surprise me. Okay. MSI Afterburner. Their latest release removes support for Windows XP. So,
okay.
It's just like, I didn't think about that until now. I was reading it last night. I was like, you know what? This is a fantastic thing to just juxtapose. So,
well, shit, they both made it longer than Valve with Steam support, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. So, you have to consider. Okay, so
XP, my goodness.
MSI has been making graphics cards for a very long time. I really honestly don't know how old their Afterburner software is. I want to say that I heard about it in the 9X days. I could be wrong. But when you consider that Windows XP released in the middle of 2001, it is 2024. That is more than 2 decades of support for an operating system.
That's pretty good.
On a piece of software that is still used by enthusiasts today. So, the fact that it's only now losing support, and it's because of new NVIDIA libraries, like, yeah. So I thought that was really interesting. But, there was something else that I was trying to, like, dredge up from memory, and I'm just not. It'll probably come to me in the middle of some inopportune time later, but I think that's all I got for now.
All right, very good. Time for some Toonskis then. Let's listen to some good shit.
Oh yeah, all right. So let's see if I can read the words on the page, because
zoom in.
I am aging. All right, so we start tonight with Heart's Lullaby by Rebecca E. Tripp, Gamer of the Winds, Rahul Vanamali, and Teal Buck from Final Fantasy V, going into Gusty Garden Galaxy, but it sounds like T-Square, by Will Rock and Protodome from Super Mario Galaxy, and ending with When the Walls of Time Fell by H36T from Chrono Trigger.
All right, on to some talking about the games we've been playing since last time. Don't start it with like a pained laugh. That's not a good sign.
Okay, so in my defense,
Oh
it's
no.
been a real year so far.
I mean, yes, it has. I will not, judge you for that for sure.
Baby steps. I am like, I'm trying to reevaluate, like, how do I spend my time? How do I know when to leave the thing that's I'm stuck on forever behind and just take a break,
Right.
go do something
Right.
else? I just
Yeah.
have not, like, it's been weird. So there's been a whole hell of a lot of things going on. Lots of mental health things, lots of personal discoveries, lots of everything is happening is too much at once, and I just haven't had the right mindset to go and play games and stuff, but I want to. It's a matter of like adjusting my routine to do it again.
I
So
see.
like everything kind of fell off for me last year after I got COVID. Like I was almost at the end of the FF6 Let's Play. I still literally am in Kefka's Tower. I need to finish the game.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like I'm starting to get the interest of like I should play Minecraft Dungeons again because that's a thing I can just turn my brain off and just kill a bunch of shit and it's fun and I can go teehee. I have a growing staff. It's literally a growing staff. It grows when you smack things with it. It's funny. It's a dick joke. Like there's just like
I get it.
there's things like there are things like I want to play games. I want them to be social. I just I need to get my life in a state where it's like I can come home and do this thing and not feel like I have 95 other things that are more important to do. And like if I'm not doing something, I'm sitting there like trying to do other things while my brain's just like ah. So I need to get back into the I'm going to play games mindset and like feel like I can do that because I keep talking about like wow, it'd sure be cool to play pinball and it'd sure be cool to do blank and like just not having the like my brain's version of the right prereqs met for doing those things. Like, ugh, I need to just play games, even if it's for myself. I don't have to stream it. I just gotta do it.
That's probably where you should start. Is just play it for yourself first before you work up the comfort to do the whole streaming thing again. That works.
It's been a thing for me because it's like I know I'm on the last stream of FF6. And I know there's like people like, dude, what the fuck?
It's a hell of a cliffhanger, my god.
Like, I know. I just finished getting all of the espers. Most of my characters know all the magic, etc. Like, I know. It's fine. And then I'm just kind of like, shit. The first thing I do when I get back, I have to finish that game. I have to stream. I have to make it a hype thing. And I'm like, I just don't feel hype right now.
It'll still be there. Don't worry. It's not going anywhere.
So I've been soliciting friends for like, hey, is there anything like low key that we could just like experience together maybe? I don't even care if it's a game. Just like something. Just to get me back in the mood of like holding a controller and doing a thing and having the numbers go up and the serotonin be like, wee. And,
hey, remember me?
Yeah, exactly. So, oh wow, I want to do stuff. Like, there have been a lot of things that like I've been looking for like a type of game and haven't really come across something that I really feel like would scratch the itch all too well. So like I've got just a fuck ton of things on Steam, much like most people I know, and I realized like I need to finish Octopath. Watching the Final Fantasy 15 speedrun at AGDQ, that was hilarious. Like, I didn't know you could go out of bounds like that. Like, holy shit, the game has added a lot of content since I played it originally, because I got it on release. And, like, they've just added so much to it.
And that was PS4?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So, like, I played it almost on launch patch all the way through with Saxon. And I consider that good. Yeah. And then I got the Windows version. I was like, holy shit, this is great. 4K, baby. And like, I started the game once. I got halfway through. I was like, I could do better than this. And then I started a new save. I was like, I'm going to get as many side quests done before anything main quest that I can possible. And then I stopped playing that for a few years, booted it up last year. I was just like, what is all this shit?
What am I doing? I better start over.
Well, it's not even that. It's just like, I felt like, okay, I needed to do this one quest that I couldn't beat. And that's why I kind of set it down before. And I did it because I was smart this time. I was like, you know what? I'm going to use those stat augmenty items that I never use. And then I got it first try. Cool, that's great. And then, like, random events just can happen now on a day. And I was like, what is this shit? So I did one, and it was like, oh no, they're adding more. Oh no, the list isn't done. I can't continue because the list will never be done.
Oh,
and like,
no, yeah.
the game is like that now. So I'm just kind of like, shit. So Final Fantasy IV is a good game, though, Kenny.
It really is.
You should do the free Enterprise Randomizer. Those
You
are fun
really
to watch.
should. They are
Saying.
fun.
Have never played one myself, but I am interested in it. I've actually been like low key kind of thinking like, I wonder if I could actually like get good at Z2 combat. And then I started thinking, I wonder if I could play a Zelda 1 randomizer and not cry because of Wizrobes and Dark Nuts.
Sure. I don't see why not.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Vlad's been in a similar boat lately, and like I'm just waiting for the opportunity for us to like play Tears of the Kingdom for the 4th time ever. We haven't played it since we talked about it months ago.
I see. Okay.
I'm just kind of like, oh man. I watched the speedrun for that too, which that was hilarious. So,
fuck, I need to finish that game first before I start watching stuff about it.
you know, honestly, like it didn't really spoil anything.
Oh no, I'm sure I won't be spoiled. I want to finish it. Like I'm at the final bits. I just haven't gone.
I thought you did.
No.
Okay.
I was very close, but then I started doing the final bit of it, and like, I'm not ready for this yet. So then I put it down for a while.
Is that like an emotional readiness?
No,
or...
no, it's just like there's still a lot of the depths I haven't explored.
Gotcha.
And I feel like once I finish the main bit of it, I'll be like, yeah, I can put this away for a good long time. And I don't want to do that yet. So,
The depths for the limited exposure that I have to them really do seem interesting. Like probably the most interesting part for me. But I also like, I am a dwarf and I'm digging a hole kind of shit. So, you know.
Right.
Oh, actually, that's another. I picked up a game because I thought it looked interesting. What the fuck is it called? The thing where they say rock and stone. Dwarf something, but not fortress.
Fuck.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
DRG. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, there you go. Deep Rock Galactic, yes.
Yeah, so like, I bought that because I was watching Vlad play it while I had COVID. And that was back in September. Okay. So like, fuck. It's hilarious to watch multiple people play at the same time. Let me tell you. And I think like it would be fun to do cooperatively, like if you had some people that just like weren't tryhards, I guess. So like, I don't know. I kind of want to do that, but at the same time, like everybody has just been so clogged with everything lately. So, oh man, yeah. You know what?
Yeah, no, that's unfortunate for some games. I think it's like immediately attracts the people who don't know that it's just a game.
Honestly, I just want to be that dwarf ? Who will just drink constantly and try to do the stupid little games between the rounds. Like that just seems like a good time. Like I just want to be a dumb dwarf who gets paid to drink. Like,
hey, shit, life goals.
And like if you get sick, well, that's fine. You just black out and you wake up and you're great again. You can go drink some more. Like, oh man, like I don't know. Just games like that. Like, that's the kind of, like, multiplayer, super cozy co-op kind of shit that I want to do. Man, I gotta try. At some point. But, like, isn't that what EI does? I don't know! Shit, I haven't... Is EI here? Is he lurking?
No, he's got his Shadowrun
Fuck.
stuff
Wait,
going
what?
on.
Shadowrun?
Mm-hmm.
What? Tell me more about that.
He does a little like it's like weekly or monthly Shadowrun crew thing on Friday nights, which happens to coincide generally with insert credits, as we've noticed.
Yeah, but like
Um,
Shadowrun.
Just funny as hell.
I just watched like Vlad play Shadowrun Returns and one of the other. It was just free on Xbox with Game Pass, but like
No, like not like the video game Shadowrun, but like the tabletop like
oh
RPEG Shadowrun.
oh, that's pretty rad. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, now I know.
Yeah, there
Chumpos, etc.
you go. I wonder if he's managed to get Chumpos in there actually. Let's ask him about that. Yeah, hey, like no, that shit takes work. All of that takes work to get in a good mindset to play properly. No, play in a way that makes sense for you.
Yeah.
That's different between people. So yeah.
A lot of this, the conversations, obviously, because I haven't been playing a whole lot, it's just been like, I kind of want to do this, but all of these things are in the way. But at the same time, like, I'm starting to, at the very least, like, start to find games and genres that kind of vibe with me, or at least I think would vibe with me until I actually try them. We're getting there. Slowly. Until then, I will watch other people play games, and I will enjoy them with them.
There you go. That's the way to do it too.
There's been this thing, and I cannot remember what it's called, but it was a competition where you had teams of two that you would try to get high score challenges for a bunch of just random arcade games, and you would have to like compare your scores at the end of the month.
That sounds like Arcade Pit, but I don't.
It's not
know.
Arcade Pit.
Okay, then
It's something else, and I've just been watching like the most random ass shit. Like, okay, this is fine. Like, I've been watching a streamer called Endy_Endy, who I had initially gotten into watching because he was trying to do sub 80 all keys runs in Z2 and finally got it. So he moved on to some other stuff, but like just watching him beat his head against the wall on trying to get PBs on these things and coming back like 7 hours later and he's still streaming. He looks just like haggard as hell.
Oh no!
Like,
Take a break, bro. Relax.
I know that mood so well, but like I don't know. Beyond not playing games, I've just been finding comfy like not tryhards to watch, and it's been good. Like I've been like a member of their chats and getting in on jokes and being that guy at times, and like it's just been fun. So like I don't know. I've been a consumer lately more than a player. I think that's the largest roundabout way of saying that.
And that's fine. That's acceptable. You don't need to justify it to no one.
That's fair. I will say, of the things that you played, I spied you doing Assault Android Cactus once.
Oh boy. Well, you spoiled it there. Good job.
Shit, I didn't realize. I didn't see it in the list.
It
God
was on
damn
the
it!
list!
It was at the very end.
Yes, it is.
I saw you do it once.
Yes, that was fun. There's more upcoming of that though, so that'll be even more fun. Is that the segue to me to talk about the thing? Okay, very good. Very good. All right, so normal stream stuff. Talos Principle 2 continues apace. Getting to the end of it. I'm on the final, what I believe to be the final segment of it. Before I unlock like the super hard extra puzzles for it too. So at least another probably week and change, I would imagine, of that game. Puzzles aside, I get to continually yell at NPCs again, which is great. Great fun.
Catharsis.
It is. It really is. I'm sure like the game tries to do a lot of like philosophy stuff like in between things. And it's like, yeah, wow, that's good stuff to think about. Anyways, fuck this guy over here.
Yeah.
It's just, I know it's probably trying to make a whole bunch of points about, human society and what should we do? What's moral? What's ethical? What's the kind thing to do or whatever. It's like, man, I'm just here to solve puzzles. Like, what do you want from me?
And also fuck this guy.
Yeah, and also fuck that guy over there. So yeah, that's been a lot of fun. It sounds like people are enjoying seeing it too, so that's always good. On the SBC side of things for Shmup Book Club, the new shmup we've got for the month of February is Shienryu. Kind of a pretty standard, traditional top-down vertical shmup. it seems a little bit kinder than previous ones that we've done in the traditional style, where it's pretty fair up to a point. We've kind of collectively discovered amongst like 3 or 4 of our group that once you hit stage 5, like it's done. It is no longer want you there. But the boards have been pretty competitive for that. It's got some pretty rockin' tunes, and visually it seems all right. Some contrast issues, especially when things get busy, but it's been a pretty solid experience overall. Our quarterlies are still going. We've still got Karis from the Dreamcast, which we've done a fair few Dreamcast games. That one in particular, I managed to all clear like the other day because I was doing my dumb idiot stubborn thing and be like, okay, one more. Oh, all right, all Andy. Clear. All right.
Good job.
Guess I'm done with that. I was trying it again, not this past week, but the week before. And I just couldn't make things work.
That's fair.
But I got the all clear, and I'm happy with that. The other quarterly we've got is Blue Wish Resurrection Plus. That's an old, like, when was, I think it's a 2003 original release. So like XP days type thing. Sure. Free indie shmup, like Dojin type stuff. That was a time and a half for me to get it to work. And apparently it's decided to stop working for other people just randomly too.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I don't know, man.
Get patched, fucker.
Right? I don't know. It was fun. It still is fun. We've got it through, I think, the end of March yet. That's our first quarter for 2024.
Very nice.
So on to Sunday long play, I had finished up with Spelunky 2. I kind of done doing the randomizer for a bit.
That was what the
Lord.
fuck was that?
That is chaos. Like chaos incarnate. Like Spelunky 2 naturally is just chaotic. The putting a randomizer on top of it is just like, okay.
I mean, like, it was hilarious, but like I just didn't follow it. It was just so much happening at once, and the rounds were so fast. Yeah, that's fair. Okay.
It's tough, but it was a lot of fun. Like, I enjoyed it immensely. And now, as a nod to our 2024 look ahead from last time, I picked up Assault Android Cactus again. Started doing some speed runs as de-rust, and there's a significant amount of rust there.
Yeah.
And an Infinity Drive, of course, because it's fun. So, I am surprised, and this is genuine surprise, not like fake haha comedic surprise. I am genuinely surprised that of those 2 speedruns that I did not last Sunday because I was too wiped out, but the Sunday before, I still managed a handful of gold splits on individual levels between them.
Okay.
It's just like, why though? But overall, I still ended up like 2.5 minutes behind best, which is still pretty good for not having played it for 4 years. Yeah. So looking forward to doing more of that this Sunday, now that I've got the energy to do so.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's good. It's fun, and I'm glad to be getting back into it.
That's rad. So like, what's all changed since you played it last?
Nothing. They don't make updates to it anymore. There's no new content or whatever. I've heard tell, and I haven't tried it myself, that it works great on Steam Deck. So if you're looking for a fun twin stick, I mean,
sure, yeah, why not?
Got the form factor for it.
You, the purveyor of twin stick shooters.
I do like my twin stick shooters. They are very good. Play more twin sticks. Play more shmups too. Like, shmups are great. And there's a couple like kind of one-offs that I've been playing a little bit too. I booted up Super Meat Boy for the first time in forever the other day as well, just to play a few levels. And it's like, yeah, shit, I haven't played this in a while. Okay, that's enough.
I will never forget the name Edmund McMillan.
That's right.
Like,
yeah,
it's just burned into my brain. Good shit.
One of the OGs of the indie craze, right? But yeah, so that was a little bit of fun, and I had another one kind of just pulled up on my Steam recent list. Oh right, I've been trying to play Blasphemous. I
heard of the game. I don't know much about it.
It's like it's sort of an action platformer, I guess. Very kind of Souls-like.
Okay.
I tried to play it for a bit, but then it really put me off because I could not fucking grab a ladder to save my life. Literally to save my life, because there's a death pit right below. So that happened like 2 or 3 times in a row, and then I'm like, nope, I'm done.
This.
Nope, that's enough. And I've yet to go back to it. And I feel really bad because I know I've heard a lot of people play it and they really enjoyed it. And I'm like, okay, it's on my list. I've got it here. Let's give it a try. And it's just like cannot stand that sort of. I don't know if it's an input thing or if I'm just an idiot. But yeah, no, that sort of thing happening pretty early in the game too is just like no. I've got too much respect for my own patience when I typically don't. That I can't play this anymore. What else? Did I actually rebuy this? I did. I
Wait,
rebought
what?
No Man's Sky.
When did you return it the first time?
A while ago. A
Okay.
while ago. Certainly before the last few major updates, because I bought it. I tried to get into it, but the tutorial was just overbearing,
Okay.
and I could not make heads or tails of it. So I'm just like, you know what? This is like one of maybe 3 games I've ever returned on Steam.
Now I want to know the other
Um,
two.
right, and I don't remember what the other two were, but it was on sale again because it goes on sale like frequently. And I'm like, okay, there's been like several major updates, and people are still crowing about it, being like, yeah, this is a great game. Like, I'll
Okay.
try it again. I'll try it again. I will never not give things a fair shake, even like 2 or 3 times. So haven't installed it again yet, but I'll give it a go. And I think that's more or less it. Just a couple things in between, a little bit of classic OG Doom because that just hangs out and it's so easy to just pop open and play a few maps. The first shareware episode of Doom 1 is burned into my subconscious because that's what we had when I was growing up.
You want to know
Um,
something though? Like, you could tell I did not grow up with it because every time I try to think of Doom music, I think of fucking Megalovania. Because like I hear that but and I'm like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
it's a but yeah, I cannot think of Doom music until I hear it,
That's
and then I can
funny.
follow along. Seriously, like,
That is, well, I mean, that's a very period thing. Like, if you didn't grow up with it, of course, it wouldn't be like in your subconscious, right?
yeah,
And then Undertale was kind of that thing for kind of most people after the I don't
I've
know.
just memed on that song too much. That's entirely
That
on
that
me.
could be as well, right? I mean, there's so many memes surrounding it too. So
That's
it's
true.
definitely not your fault. My God. Uh, but that's about it. I'm looking forward to maybe exercising my upcoming 2024 list a little bit more. I said I
Okay,
wanted to get into a lot more randomizers, which I still do. Um,
okay.
but again, it's that mindset of, well, do I sit down and try to invest some time in this when I'm probably not going to be very good for a while? Or do I play this other thing when I know I'm going to enjoy that for a bit?
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah.
ah well, ah well.
Gotta have some incentive to try the new things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
More like, hey, Kenny, etc. Badger relentlessly. Watch you suffer.
Oh boy. There was one I was trying to get set up. Oh right, I did play the Symphony of the Night randomizer for a bit.
Okay,
And that went pretty well, and I was able to make the kind of the built-in tools that they have for BizHawk work with it, and it does. And
awesome.
it has a map tracker and all that, which is great because I don't remember where it is.
Hmm.
Um yeah, so I played that for a bit, then I set it aside and didn't go back. Not because it wasn't fun, it's just like other things.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I'd like to go back to that. I would like to play a few more just independent FFRs, Final Fantasy randomizers.
Okay,
So man, there's so much to that one.
just
Um,
FF1.
yeah,
Okay, tell me more, because
it's
that like
huge. There's
that.
so many different settings you can plug into it. Like you can randomize encounters, randomize enemy scripts, what spells they got, how much health and damage they do. I think if they haven't moved it out of beta yet, I think there's a proc gen overworld like they
Oh,
do for Zelda Z2 and Dragon Warrior Rando. And so that's been kind of chipping at me a little bit. Like I know the OG map pretty damn well.
okay.
I would be interested in trying the proc gen overworld.
So I assume this is a randomizer for the NES version,
Yes, and there's
because I have
also,
seen the pixel
yeah,
remasters.
I'd like to
Yeah,
give that a go too.
I'd watch.
That and the FFR, the FF4 rando, not free enterprise, the pixel remaster one.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah, that I think that one's just called Fabul Gauntlet.
Oh, okay.
I remember watching a couple like exhibition streams of it. I'm like, looks pretty cool. But again,
Interesting.
the drive of, okay, now I gotta get it set up, and now I gotta do this, and now I gotta get started with it. And now it's like, oh.
That's fair.
Sometimes too much. Sometimes too much. But yeah, a lot
But
of
you
that
could
stuff.
be a spoony bard.
I could be. I don't want to be, because Edward sucks. But poor Edward. Yeah, but that's what's been going on since last time. Lots of cool things. Lots of cool things that we can both play more of.
Awesome.
I gotta get back into Jamestown again.
Yeah.
Getting that itch.
You said shmups. I was like, the one that I've played. That's fair.
I gotta get practiced up. I should check to see what rank I'm at again, and I know it's like top 4. I think it was number 2 when I left it last time, so
Okay.
it's up there. But I imagine I've gotten knocked down a couple since. But
You never know.
anyways, let's listen to some more tunes before we go off on another tangent. Let's start off with a remix from Mega Man 3 entitled Large Hardman Collider by Sinus. And then a remix from Secret of Mana entitled Meester der Magi by Jarito, Andrew Thompson, Earthkid, Gamer the Winds, Matthias Menente, The Bitter Roost. And then finish off with a remix from Minecraft entitled Meditations on a Beam of Light by Eminator. Okay, well, we missed this last time because we were doing our 2024 look ahead, but it's time
Oh,
for
yes.
some design.
I will get that thing up.
Let's make a game.net / game idea generator.
All right. Well, as tradition states, we cannot use the thing that appears on the first page load, but I will talk about it because it'll give me an opportunity to talk about the things that we're going to look at.
Right.
So when we load one of these little buggers up here, we're going to usually have between 1 and 2 each of a genre, rules, setting, and theme. We can have a total of 3 roles. Should we choose to pass on a roll, we cannot go back to previous rolls. And if we get something utterly terrible, as has happened on roll 3, we can't do anything about it other than make the game.
Yeah, we gotta go with it.
So, for example, this first page load roll had the genre of roguelike, the rule of randomly generated, hooray, the setting of Lovecraftian, and the theme of war, like, It writes itself.
It really does.
I guess. So.
Lovecraftian is interesting, though. I like that. I like
It
that
is.
bit of it. Gross.
Yeah. You have anything you wanted to add, or should I go ahead and push
No,
the generate button?
that is a succinct explanation of what we are about to engage in. So let's go with the first bit here.
Roll number 1. Survey says 1 each. The genre is text-based.
Oh.
The rule is don't stop moving.
Don't stop moving. Sorry, that's the wrong one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The setting is antiquity, and the theme is comedy.
Whoa. Curveball in that last one.
Yeah, so this is totally unique for us. I don't know if we've had text-based really show up as a genre for us. We've made things that are like rogue-like in the past, in that you have a terminal and you do things with it.
Right.
Don't Stop Moving kind of implies something along the lines of a rhythm game. Sort of?
Sure. Yeah.
Or a typing game, perhaps?
Text-based. My goodness. See, what I'm envisioning here is some sort of speed kind of typing thing. Like you have to type so fast, otherwise you explode or something.
Well, okay.
It's kind of silly.
I'm thinking like the beginning of FF9, you had to do the play, and you had to like follow the button pushes on the screen in order to do the choreography of the fight. Something like that, except it's more along the lines of like more of a court jester trying to choose the right line to make the king laugh kind of thing, perhaps. Dead Air is going to, I don't know, get your head lobbed off, question mark.
Yeah, to the dungeon with you or whatever, that sort of thing.
I don't know, that's like the best I can really come up with for this.
Yeah, the comedy is interesting. The text-based really kind of throws it. Like there's not a lot of feedback you can give the player really in that, unless you really play with it, like just random text appearing everywhere as like the crowd's reactions or something. I could see that happening.
I'm not super feeling it, but at least there's like something we could
there's a seed to it for sure. I'm okay moving on to the next one though.
As is tradition. All right, I'm pushing that button.
All right, and I'm deleting this line.
We again have 1 each. Our favorite genre has come back.
Oh no.
Visual novel.
Okay.
The rule is strength in numbers.
Oh.
The setting is cyberpunk.
Okay.
And the theme is myth.
Huh.
So this is already this is a vibe. So like I can see this as being a Shadowrun-like thing, if I'm going to go back with that, except having it be cyberpunk instead of like hyper-corporate apocalypse. So it being cyberpunk in aesthetic, and the like society is kind of falling apart, and it's factions and things like that. The strength in numbers is like how you accumulate people who agree with your cause,
right? Gathering your allies and such to do whatever the thing is that we're doing,
and uncovering some sort of greater truth. You have to like convince people that something really is working in the dark corners of society or whatever the case is, and you need to make them believe you. It's this myth, this legend of whatever is coming true, and nobody's paying attention to it because of all of the shit that's going on, because they're in a post whatever society. I don't know. Random story, but I like it. And visual novel can be taken in such a way where it absolutely could be like a console version of Shadowrun,
right? Yeah,
because you are basically, I mean, okay, let's be real. Like Fire Emblem could be a visual novel realistically, because like you you are acting out the story, but you have to not fail.
With tactical, is that right? Tactical combat thrown in, sprinkled in
Yeah,
liberally for the combat, right?
tactical espionage action.
That's a different game.
Yeah. But like,
Boy.
there are a lot of ways that you could take this, and like, just the cyberpunk slash, I don't know, the the idea of there being a society that has basically moved on from the idea of mythos, like in general, because tech has like solved all of their problems. Like, why would they need anything else? Like, that seems kind of interesting.
So a return to mythos is
Basically.
okay.
Or like it's just never left, but these undercurrents have been churning and nobody's noticed, but you have, and you're trying to convince people like, hey, this is happening. It's actually super important, but you're also trying to do it in a way that people actually believe you instead of think you're crazy.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that working.
So like,
So do we commit to this and avoid the dreaded third roll, which could be extremely much worse than this?
because like this seems pretty cool. It being a visual novel is more of a. I interpret that as being more of a story
Yeah, I think it's more of a
delivery
narrative
mechanism.
mechanism than like a strict it must be dialogue trees and just still frames and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, I don't want to make Doki Doki Literature Club. So like,
But cyberpunk. Oh,
let's not.
wait a minute.
So like, I am going to call a visual novel a storytelling device where you follow the format of a story being told to you, but you are in the story as it goes on, as it's explained to you. It's not you making the story, it's you participating in the bounds of whatever the story is doing at that time.
Right.
And you could do a whole lot with that. Like, my first idea before was the, like, you're on a grid, tactical RPG type of thing, or even dialogue trees, like a conversation. You could absolutely do that. You could do all of these things at the same time. And I think that's why Fire Emblem is particularly interesting to me. It's not just go and beat the enemy units as quickly as you can and capture the base. It's you occasionally have these third-party mercenaries that you can recruit, and they have these backstories and like that kind of shit. So having a mechanism where you have the loose bounds of what to do, but have the option to explore certain facets more, or focus on certain things that will follow you throughout, that seems to me like it's the modern implementation of something like a visual novel.
Okay. All right, let's commit to this roll number 2 then.
I like it.
Let's flesh this out.
Okay.
Okay, so objective, convince society of a greater truth long since ignored and thought to be lost. That's pretty vague and generic. That's what I was typing down.
I mean, honestly, yeah.
But okay, we can just put a period on it. We'll be done with
I mean, so I think we can get into more specifics when we go into the story /show.
Sure. Yeah.
So mechanics here, like, okay, this has the opportunity to have multiple ways to interface with the game. So you could literally have a narrator talking through the narrative, having the like slow moving stills and whatnot if you want to. You can have tactical things, not only for fighting, but for deciding who to talk to and when. You could have quick time events. You could have something like, you remember Radical Dreamers? So like not quite like that, but the idea of having unseen values changing is something that appeals to me here. So like things that have used that in the past are like relationship meters and things like
Right.
that,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
not specifically that. So like you can have all sorts of values that are in the background that like once they hit a certain threshold that something happens. And I think having a visual novel that provides a framework for a story but allows you to choose your direction based on how those internal values tick up or down and how those values relate to others
Hmm.
like would make it have a sense of mystery and intrigue that you wouldn't ordinarily have if you have like, okay, if I do this, I get 5 points toward my relationship with Baron. I'm gonna go on a date with him. Like, yeah, people are gonna figure it out, but like not having it front and center, like I think would allow people to focus more on experiencing the story. So I think having a lot of options is good. I mean, in place of like choose one or two, like
Right, right,
having
right,
more than just like two things going on at
right.
the same time, having areas of the game where you're not explicitly like, okay, I need to talk to this person because that's where the narrator panned the camera over to. You can like literally walk around in this environment and do something.
Right.
Um,
And here's the gatekeeping thing that you need to do to move on to the next area. No, we don't need something like that.
yeah, I mean, like switching it up. So like sometimes if you wanted to have something like that where you wanted to like push the story in a particular direction because the plot requires it, sure, that's fine. But I mean, like if you're trying to roam around the slums looking for street urchins who are willing to give you their time in exchange for helping them out with something, like you could choose like
Hmm.
which person would I approach and what about them makes them interesting to me. Like the game would kind of figure out like what you're interested in with how those values are set and things like that. So like you could start to like have your type of person and your crowd becomes known for this particular thing, etc. So
So we're looking to build a not necessarily a following. That's a non-culty way to say that. Um,
so like
a crew. Group.
so
Synonyms are
like
failing me.
okay, the problem with this is like if there is a hidden objective truth going on that people aren't seeing, like you are proselytizing that.
Right. Yeah.
I don't.
Proselytizing.
There we go. Okay. So in a sense, like there are going to be people who think you're a cultist or something like that, but you need to like
Yeah.
I don't know.
Build support. There we go. Build support for. Well, you know what? Let's start with the hook here. Like when you wake up, become aware, whatever the heck it is in this universe that we're crafting. Like, what do you know that you want to convince others of?
Okay. So we need to okay, never mind. Let me take that a step back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the mechanism by which we are propelled into the story. So prior examples will take Final Fantasy The Spirits Within. I
Mm.
love the movie. It has nothing to do with Final Fantasy. But the fact that Dr. Aki Ross was having dreams of the perspective of these aliens on a weird remote planet, like having these recurring dreams and realizing that like something's trying to communicate with me and I don't know what it's saying, like that is one such mechanism by which you can like get into something. Trying to think of others. Like
Some sort of sensitivity to something else that's happening behind the scenes that most others probably do not have such a sensitivity to,
so
sort of
that
thing.
that's actually an interesting way to put that. So if you wanted to use that almost literally, like a keen awareness of coincidence,
Mm, okay.
like noticing slight things that are off and leading you to look more carefully and seeing how like the fabric of reality is slowly coming apart or something like that.
It's a very Matrixy vibe.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Which I'm all for it. I do like that.
and that honestly goes really well with the hyper corporate cyberpunk
Right.
garbage.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like, um, pick your poison, literally.
Okay, player character is more sensitive / aware of the deterioration of reality. No, that's a little bit too much.
I mean,
Because then we get into simulation theory and all that, which is bonkers on its own.
cyberpunk.
Right? Yeah. I know.
Honestly,
Sure. Okay. Fine. Deterioration of reality. It is.
okay. So here. Okay, we can absolutely play into this. So at first, it feels like some arcane thing is happening that people haven't noticed that you're starting to become aware of. And you find supporting material on like this old archaic past. Folklore, that kind of thing, whatever you want to call it in the modern age.
Okay. Yeah.
And you start to like really start putting this together. You confide in somebody like, hey, I've noticed this going on. Please don't call me crazy. I just need someone to hear me out. And like you start really convincing some people around you that things are going on and this is what's happening. And it ends up being a simulation. You're
Okay.
starting to notice the simulation. It's not archaic, weird,
Right.
Cthulhu-esque things
just
happening.
Things
It's
that appear so because you don't know quite how to square it with whatever your known reality is.
yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
like you have the what a twist moment there, like where it's like it's not actually ancient magic's going on here. It's
Sure.
the simulation falling apart. I guess a cool way of putting that in perspective, Outer Wilds, when you go way fast and everything starts glitching out and garbling out because of floating point errors. But not that specifically, just like
right.
the farther out you get, like the more weird things are and like that kind of effect. The more corrupt things are, the more evident that something is going on.
Okay. So then back to the mechanics of the thing, we're trying to convince people to notice these coincidences and these patterns starting to stack up.
Kinda, yeah. And like they might even be repeatable.
Right. Okay. Build support for paying attention to reality falling apart.
Yep. I mean, something error correcting code,
Right.
etc.
Right.
Yeah.
And by doing so, it's since it's a visual novel, it's probably a lot of narrative, a lot of talking, discussing. Not necessarily passive, but you're not actively fighting people to be like, "Hey, idiot, fucking look at this."
There absolutely has to be moments where stark emotional fallout happens. Like something huge changes in the paradigm of things and they're shook.
Yeah, like something happens right in front of you as you're talking to this group or something. And you're like, "Fucking see? What do you make of that? Like, what does that mean?"
And then like you can absolutely have the twist of like, what are you talking about?
And they just kind of treat it as like nothing. And then yeah.
Something causality, etc. So like there are so many different directions that this could go, and we don't necessarily have to pick one. Like that's the beauty of this format. Like how you observe things can kind of dictate what direction the game goes in this loose framework.
Right.
So I think that's neat.
Okay, so you're trading the player character, trading their time and effort to gain support. One thing that I'd probably put into here is some sort of unspoken time limit too. there's only so many things you can do in a certain day,
Yeah,
week,
I would say
month,
so.
whatever, because otherwise you're gonna get people who are maxing the hell out of everything. Once you understand the gimmick, I guess, behind all this, you're like, oh yeah, I gotta go talk to this person, use this option, blah 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 blah. Um, yeah, support
Actually, that's interesting.
certain
How much time you take
groups.
to decide something also lends weight to some of those hidden
Yeah.
values.
Mm-hmm. Um, un certain undisplayed or uncommunicated, I guess, uncommunicated factors affect your ability to convince people. As people such as the time it takes for you to make a decision,
How emphatic you are, um, how shifty you are when people question
right?
you.
Your honesty or whatever, right?
I mean, in some cases, yeah. I mean, we can
Yeah.
literally make a character sheet.
Strength of output. Um, honesty, various character traits, right? Character traits you choose to exhibit. That's a pretty generic way to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
In all honesty, though, like, I wonder if a really basic character creator at the beginning would help kind of shape things too. Like, what kinds of things are you predisposed to?
Or here's this group you are most closely aligned with at the start, or maybe you go solo, or yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to put it like straight to a charisma thing because that's very min maxy.
So I'm trying to remember what it's called. A couple of years ago, I rolled a character for a D&D 5 campaign, and like, you had to, oh, your background.
Mm,
That's what it
okay.
is. So like, if you choose a background, it kind of like gives flavor to certain, okay, obviously gives flavor, but like it puts certain weight into the background stats that people don't see. Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay.
Like, not putting a whole lot of time and effort into it, but like, I want to be this kind of like thing. Answering like maybe 2 or 3 questions about that kind of thing. And
Mm-hmm.
like it would,
Mm-hmm. It's not like a direct player class selection, but it's
yeah,
what was I just watching the other day that did this sort of thing? Um, Ultima, the Ultima series, I think is good for that.
interesting.
Yeah. I forget which one in particular it was that I was watching, but it was like you answered 7 questions, and depending on how you answered them or what order you answered them in, it gave you a certain player class. So not, I
Okay,
don't think to that extent where you're told like, oh, you're a druid, you're a
right,
rogue, you're a thief. No, it just determines those those hidden values for you, right?
sure. It gave you a social history, sort
Mm-hmm.
of. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. Uh, player's initial background and social history. Yeah.
And maybe something they're good at.
Initial background, social history, and skill trade, right?
Sure, why not?
And build support for paying attention. Gather support. Gather support from other people. From other groups and individuals who are paying attention to the reality falling apart. Pick and choose who and how to interact. Trade time and effort to gain support from certain groups. Certain uncommunicated factors affect your ability to convince people. It's time it takes to make decisions, the strength of your output. Oopsie. The output and character traits exhibited. So honesty was really just an example of that. Okay.
Yeah. This is fleshing up.
Inventory is interesting. So certain things you might trade to other people, certain things you have on your person at the start, certain things
Even
you
pieces of
find.
information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sundry trade items, information. This is cyberpunk.
Symbols in the case of like
Symbols
gangs
and
or
code
whatever.
words and
Yeah,
shit.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely that. Trying to think of some other things. Unique tools definitely would have to be a thing. Like things that you find
Mm-hmm.
that allow progression, but they're rare.
Right. You've gained access to this area because you interact with this group. You have their favor. You can go here now and
Yeah,
spend your time there, right?
honestly, yeah, no, that's great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think I would kind of leave it there.
Okay. Yeah, that's plenty big list for this.
Audio style, I'll
Cyberpunk for
let you.
graphic
Yeah.
style. Audio
Um,
style, I'm not even certain that's important.
it kind of is though. So like,
I guess it would convey like your progression down this path of discovering reality is kind of effed, right?
I think it matters more in like the setting that you're in,
Mm-hmm.
whenever that is. Like to be on a weird, discordant city block or something like that, it's going to have a lot different feel than going into a club
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
a tense situation that otherwise is in a formerly safe place or whatever the case is. Like, I think there's a lot of storytelling that can be done with audio cues that aren't super obvious. Like, for instance, if you're in a place and something strange is starting to happen that you're trying to bring attention to,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like having the audio, the sound effects, the whatever be slightly off or missing something or having something added to it that wasn't there before but super subtle. Like to the point of it being like almost imperceptible. Just like having the vibe be different
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
somehow, I think would be really good environmental storytelling.
Can we base it a little bit on the player's influence of, I guess, the surrounding groups and or individuals? Like if you're friendly with this group, it's going to sound a lot different than it being like in a tense bar where you're not sure if you've got allies around you or something like that.
Right. Yeah, no, honestly, yeah.
Player's influence and familiarity with the environment, I guess.
So I was thinking of things like if you're in a super tense situation and like shit's about to go down and there's sound effects like thumping or like that.
Yeah.
Just like really subtly you start to hear a little bit of what sounds like tinnitus because of the character's blood pressure rising,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but like not super obvious.
Also an indicator of the player's present state.
Stress is something that absolutely
Emotion,
needs to be
stress.
indicated in
Yeah.
the audio.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fear?
Emotion, stress, fear. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That kind of stuff. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory after that.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna move this down a bit. Okay. Cool. Um. Okay, then in this context, I think graphic style is a bit of not as important type thing. We already know it's cyberpunky. That invokes something pretty strong to me already.
Yeah, and I think like the graphic style is largely going to depend on like
Mm-hmm.
how a particular scenario feels like it would be best presented.
Mm-hmm.
So there are, like I mentioned, there's going to be opportunities where it's like their narration with the panning single frame, the like actually moving around in a 3D space to investigate things, that kind of thing. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Mm-hmm.
It depends on the situation. Oh no, something happened and I'm like locked in a tube or something like that, and suddenly your perspective is like really shrunk
Yep.
down and super
Mhm.
focused on something. Like, I don't know. It really depends on what it is. Input method,
Input method, I'm kind of mad on. I don't care.
literally anything.
I mean, point and click almost works pretty well for this sort of thing, but
Depending on what
that's
you're
been
doing.
done a
Yeah.
lot. So I'm fine leaving that one kind of blank.
Title,
Title is always the bitch, isn't it? Visual novel, Strength in Numbers, Cyberpunk Myth.
I was thinking of something silly like Wandering Reality, but like the whole point of it is like not knowing what's real.
Right.
So
An illusion, illusory. Not necessarily an illusion, I guess, but
I mean, you could literally just call it like ECC or something like that.
oh, leaning into the cyberpunky, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
Honestly, I
I'll go
like
with
it.
ECC the dolphin. Oh no, that's different. Um.
Damn you, Sega.
Yeah. Okay. I'm into it.
Yeah, this have yeah, this has a vibe, and I like the vibe. So cool.
Excellent. Ship it.
Shall we see what roll 3 would have been?
Sure. Why not?
All right. This is what we left up.
What did we avoid?
One each. Genre is art game.
Good.
The rule is no one can see you. The setting is distant future, and the theme is Battle of Wits. Glad we stuck with what we did.
Yeah, pretty glad. Feeling vindicated on that one.
So yeah, no, I satisfied. I like that quite a bit.
Okay.
ECC though.
ECC. I wish that was more prevalent. Why you have to pay out the ass just to get ECC memory nowadays?
Yeah.
Anyways, random ass thought based on technology and such.
ECC random ass memory.
Yeah. I mean, RAM. What do you want?
That's exactly it.
Ha. All right, cool. Well, with that, that wraps up our design, and that brings us to the end of round 119 here. If we've got nothing more to impart, we can call it a night.
Sounds good to me.
Excellent. Well, thank you once again, everyone, for following along with us tonight. I'm MrBond.
And I'm Tormod.
We'll leave you with our new regular closing track, a remix from Final Fantasy Mystic Quest entitled Forest Through the Trees by Shay's Violin. Good night, everybody.
Ciao.